All right, come on, we'll get started here in a minute. All right, good morning. We'll go over the markets here. The ES, we've had a nice pullback, and we kind of talked about that. How there is indications last week as price came up and swept these highs, and as it did, we're getting some divergence between the indices, which it gives a signal that there is some selling pressure going on. So our plan going into this was, monitoring what happens above those previous highs. And if it stayed above there, we'd be looking for longs. If it rejected it, which it did, then we're kind of looking for shorts again. For the short term, we'll see what happens. Um, but right now on the ES, we have some nice targets on the downside that I think um, we'll be looking at reaching for if it continues on the downside. And we have this opening gap back in March that hasn't been filled yet. So that's an area I'm just looking at the open of the next day on the gap would be my first target around 28.40. Um, I think that's a really nice downside objective if this continues on the downside. And we have liquidity and kind of equal lows down here at the 27.85 level. So monitor those two levels. Those are our downside objectives if this continues to go down. Take a look at a 4-hour chart here. Yeah, I like those areas. We could come back up and sweep this high possibly. Yeah, I mean, so on the upside, you could be looking for price to come up to around 29.10 level, possibly. It doesn't need to. Um, I'm interested to see what happens here. On the open, we might just come up, breaking this down to like 15-minute chart. We might just come up to this 28.90 level somewhere in here, and we could possibly get a rejection there. So keep an eye on that. Pull this Fibonacci down. Let's get rid of it. So today's high in London, we came up and we rejected it. Yeah, we could come up to this 29.90 level somewhere in here. Just sweep these short-term highs and possibly get a run down. So I just want to watch that area, see what happens, see if price holds there, and wait for it to start breaking down a little bit before if you are going to get in. That's an area I would be looking for today. And on that, you could look for, let's look at our divergence here quick. Okay. So when you're looking for divergence on this, we've had a little bit of bullish divergence here. See how we made a lower low and then higher lows on these. So we can expect at least a short-term little run-up, which bodes well for this possible trade here. So you want to look in this area and watch these highs on the indices, see if we can get some bearish divergence. We may not get it, but it's just something to look for. It gives you um, a reason to look for a short trade, okay? You want to watch those highs, and you also, I think you're going to want to watch the highs of the day and see if we get divergence between the indices on any of these highs. And that would be an area that I would definitely be looking for a possible short on these. So anywhere in here, or I mean, if it does sweep the high on ES, you want to look for it not to be sweeping on one of the indices. And then wait for a little bit of a breakdown on it, and you can get a pretty low risk trade with pretty high reward. This would be one that I'd be interested in holding. And there's a lot of talk with the Trump and all that, the sanctions and whatever with China. So they may whip this around, so you very possibly could get whipped out on a short on this. And if it moves, it could move very fast. I don't know if we're gonna get into some volatility or not here again, but that would be what I would be looking for today. Um, I like the shorts. I think we have a little bit more downside to go on this. We have nice targets on the longer term charts that are reasonable. We've had the bearish divergence on the indices. You got to keep in mind you got equal highs up here, but all of the indices have these gaps down here. So I think um, I might be looking for some liquidity. We swept the high there, and we had divergence here. So we didn't sweep the high here. We had a lower high. So those are all pretty strong signals that we could be looking for some sort of a downturn in the markets for a little bit longer term, maybe a couple months, maybe through the summer. So just keep an eye on that. Gold, we've pushed up off some levels down here. We kind of left equal lows down here, so you got to note that. And we came up into this trend line that's been there, and we came up and swept some liquidity. So I guess I'm not really sure what I'm looking for on this. I'm still kind of on a hold pattern. There's still targets on downside that I like, but overall I'm still looking for an opportunity to get long. I still don't know if this is it yet. I don't like how they left the equal lows here and came off it. I'm almost looking at this as a possible, short-term swing short trade. Kept those equal lows in place. Came up and took liquidity this morning on these highs. And we're coming into 50%, almost to the 61.8 retracement level. And I'm almost looking for, a sell signal here in gold for a short-term trade. So if this starts breaking down, I think we could look for a short and ride it down to this 1262 level. I think that's a reasonable little short-term swing trade. So keep an eye on that today and the rest of the week. If we start breaking down at these levels, I think that's definitely an option. All right, and that's all I have for you. Oil's kind of a little choppy right now. Came down into an area I know we were looking at. Still have equal lows down here, so there still is downside objectives possibility. We're just consolidating here this week. We're below the open. Let's see, we gapped down on the open, came back up, filled it, went past it, took out some liquidity, took out a high, and we rejected that. And we're basically right at the open right now. I'm looking for some shorts on this too, I think. I think this is looking a little sluggish. I think we have an opportunity to come down below these lows down here at 58. That'd be my downside target. So on oil, I think that's what I'm looking for here. So we just have this consolidation area here that we have to wait for it to kind of give us some movement out of this. But right now, I think we're heading down to the 58. And that would be it. So watch that scenario on the ES this morning. Got about 6 minutes till the open. We'll see what happens on that. I think that's an interesting opportunity. And gold and oil. All right, guys. So thanks for your time. I appreciate it. You guys have a good trading day, and we'll talk on Friday.